Good morning, students. Today we will learn the fourth chapter of geography, that is air. All the living beings on this earth require air to breathe. Our earth is surrounded by a huge blanket of air which is called as atmosphere. Look at this glass. If anybody asks what is inside, our answer will be it's empty. But it is filled with the air. This glass is filled with air. Where the air is available. This air is there in the atmosphere. Atmosphere, our earth itself, that is surrounded by a huge blanket of air. That itself is known as the atmosphere. Now let us see what are the composition of the atmosphere. The air which we breathe, that is mixture of many gases. Nitrogen and oxygen are two gases which makes up the major portion of atmosphere. Around 21% is oxygen and 78% is nitrogen. Only rest is a carbon dioxide, helium, ozone, argon and hydrogen. These are in less quantities. Oxygen is in 21%, nitrogen 78%. Oxygen we require, human beings require oxygen. Human beings as well as animals require oxygen to breathe, whereas plants require the nitrogen. Carbon dioxide for breathing, plant require carbon dioxide. We can say that in the atmosphere, oxygen is the second most plentiful. First is the nitrogen, the second most plentiful gas in the air is the oxygen. Human as well as animals breathe oxygen from the air. Green plants produce oxygen during the photosynthesis. In this way, oxygen content in the air remains constant. But if we cut the trees, then this balance gets disturbed. Nitrogen is used by the bacteria which lives in the soil and root of some plants. They take nitrogen from the air and change its form so that plant can use it. Carbon dioxide is another important gas which is present in the air. Green plant use carbon dioxide to make their food and release oxygen. Human and animal, we breathe oxygen and release carbon dioxide. Very often in the newspapers we hear, these are the cuttings of some newspapers, global warming, a big issue, global warming, a serious issue in today's world. Now let's see what is global warming. The carbon dioxide which is released in atmosphere that creates a greenhouse effect. By trapping the heat radiated from the earth. So it is known as greenhouse gas, and without this green effect, the earth would have been too cold to live in. But when its level in the atmosphere increases due to factory smoke or vehicle fumes, the heat is retained as it is, and it increases the temperature of the earth. This is called the global warming. This rise in the temperature causes the snow in the coldest part of the world also to melt. As a result, what happens? The sea water level increases. It leads to flood in the coastal areas. Climate changes, all this happens as a result. Now let us see the structure of the atmosphere. Look at this picture, which shows the atmosphere is divided into 5 parts. 5 layers are there in the atmosphere. These are troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and exosphere. Troposphere, we can say that this is related to tropical region or the tropical area of the earth. This layer is the most important layer of the atmosphere. Its average height is 13 kilometers. The air we breathe exists here. And all the phenomena like rainfall, fog, hailstone, this all occur in this layer. Next layer, that is a stratosphere. This layer extends up to 50 kilometer height. You can say that this is the area where the aeroplane fly. In this layer, it contains ozone gas. Which protect us from harmful rays of the sun. Then among the 5 layers, the middle layer, that is mesosphere, which is a third as well as middle layer, which lies above stratosphere, and it extends up to the height of 80 kilometers. Above the mesosphere is a thermosphere. The temperature rises very high, very rapidly. Thermosphere in this is the area where it is heat or temperature is high. It extends between 80 kilometers to 400 kilometers. This is a layer which helps us in radio transmission. The radio waves which are transmitted are reflected back to Earth by this layer. The topmost layer or the extreme layer, that is the exosphere, the uppermost layer. This layer has very thin air. Light gases like helium and hydrogen float onto this space from here only. Imagine about a fine day where your city is hosting a cricket match between two countries. I know that all will be anxious on that day about the weather and the climate. Now let us see what is weather and climate. If we imagine our body to be a radio and the mind its speaker, the weather is something like that keeps on fiddling with its control knobs. So it keeps on changing. Weather is sometimes hour to hour, it changes, day to day. It is a day to day condition of the atmosphere. A hot or humid weather that may make one feel irritated, whereas a pleasant weather or a breezy weather that makes a person cheerful. Sometimes we see that morning hours very pleasant, but afternoon dramatically it changes. When the average weather condition, this the fluctuation, when the average weather condition of a place for a period of time represent the climate. An average weather condition of a place for a longer period that represent the climate. That's why every day we have the weather forecast. A sunny bright day, all feel very good, whereas a day with cloudy or humid or hot, we don't feel good. Can you imagine that just one, not even 1,000 Now let us see temperature. The temperature we feel every day is the temperature of the atmosphere. Temperature, the degree of hotness or coldness of the air, that is temperature. The temperature of this temperature cannot not only change between day and night, but also from season to season it changes. We can see that the summers are more hotter than winters. An important factor which influences the temperature is insolation. It is the incoming solar energy intercepted by the earth. Normally, the amount of insolation increases from equator towards the poles between the south and north pole when we move. To measure the temperature, we have thermometer which measure the temperature. The barometer measures the atmospheric pressure. To measure the rain gauge is used, and to measure the wind direction or to see the direction of the wind vane is used. These are various instruments used for seeing weather. Temperature in cities are more than compared to villages. This is due to the fact that the concrete and the metals in buildings and asphalt on the roads, this all get heated during the day, and this heat is released during the night. The air pressure the air which is above us, that passes with a great force, but it passes from all the directions, so our body is able to exert a counter pressure. We can see that air pressure is defined as a pressure exerted by the weight of air on the Earth's surface. Sometimes this pressure falls rapidly as we go up the layers of the atmosphere. As we go up on the layers, it falls rapidly. The pressure of the air is highest at sea level and it decreases with the height. In the areas which are having low air pressure, the air is cold. That is because the air is heavy. Heavy air sinks and creates a heavy pressure area. Air always moves from high pressure area to low pressure areas. On the moon there is no air and hence there is no air pressure also. That's why when the astronauts goes to moon, they wear a special protective space suit filled with the air. Wind. Different types of winds. A wind can be broadly divided into three categories: permanent wind, seasonal wind, and the local wind. The movement of air from high pressure area to low pressure area is called wind. When the air is moving from high pressure to lower, it creates wind. When the wind is there, you can see that dry leaves fly or drawn. Sometimes wind takes its fury, like cyclone wind. Recently we had seen the cyclone in our country. This shows the movement of wind. A permanent wind, the trade wind of west relays and east relays, these are the permanent winds, either from the direction of west or direction of east, direction from which it blows. Based on that only winds are given their names. Seasonal wind, these winds change their direction in different seasons. Monsoon, the wind direction changes. The local wind, these blow only during a particular period of day or year in a small area. Cyclone we can say that normally originated as a depression in any of the sea area. Sometimes cyclones that becomes reason for so much of loss. Agriculture as well as human life it caused. Large number of livestock were killed, or crops, vegetables and paddy fields are damaged. It's a picture of recent cyclone. When water evaporates from the land, and as well as from different water bodies like sea or oceans or lakes, it becomes water vapor. Moisture in the air at any time is known as humidity, and when the air is full of water vapor, we call it a humid day. When the water vapor rises, it starts cooling. The water vapor condenses, causing formation of droplets of water. The clouds are just masses of such water vapors. When these droplets of water become too heavy to float in the air, they come down as precipitation. Precipitation is a liquid that falls and comes to the earth. We call it as rain. Most of the groundwater comes from rainwater. We have cyclonic rain. We have relief or orographic rain, as well as we have conventional rainfall. Normally we have a conventional rainfall. Most of the groundwater comes from the rainfall only. Plants help us to preserve water. But when the trees on the hillsides are cut, rainwater flows down and it causes flood. Rainfall is very much important for the survival of plants as well as animals. It brings fresh water to the earth and it also brings fresh life, new life to the plants. And if rain is less or rainfall is less, water scarcity and drought occurs. At the same time, if it is more, flood take place. Thank you for listening and have a good day.